The weather outside right now really sucks, so I thought this would be a good time, like I did the other day with the driving tips, to go over a few things that we should be keeping in our vehicles pretty much at all times. And I'm going to also show a couple of things specific to this kind of awful weather. Going to start off with a little bit of a science experiment. This is 70% isopropyl alcohol in a spray bottle that I got for $1. And this is a porcelain soup bowl of ice, fresh out of the freezer. I want to point out that there's nothing coming out of it yet, because there will be in a minute. I'm going to spray quite a bit on here. Even though I spray a lot, it's not going to be quite equal to the amount that you see me pour out here in a second out of here. Right now, I'm just trying to melt some. You can kind of see the edges smoothing out on the ice as it melts a little bit. Now, isopropyl alcohol freezes at negative 128 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's pretty good at melting ice, if not a little slow. Show you how much was melted. It's not a ton, but that was just a quick 30-second example. So what this is going to be useful for is if you don't have time to let your windshield defrost, like your car to warm up so it can defrost your windshield, and it's just covered in a layer of ice or something, you can actually spray this stuff on there, and it's going to help at least start the melting process. It's going to make it easier to chip it away if you've got your ice scraper, and it's going to save you a little bit of time if you're in a hurry. Now, you don't want to ever use regular water because if you use like heated water, then the temperature difference between your windshield and the water could actually cause it to crack. So, the good thing about the isopropyl alcohol is you can leave it outside so it stays the same temperature as outside. It'll be about the same temperature as your windshield when you spray it on there. So, that's not going to be an issue. It's not going to cause a crack and it can get the process started. Now let's take a look at the things I keep in my little breakdown box. Start off with oil. I know a lot of people have cars that leak oil or use oil or whatever. Always keep some in there just in case. You never know. Make sure it's compatible with your engine too. You don't want to grab the wrong weight or whatever. And I also keep coolant in my truck because mine's very, very slowly leaks coolant. So I don't want it to overheat. It's good to keep that in there. This is more or less just cleaning supplies, but if you keep your windshield clean, then it'll be easier to see, less likely to wreck. I've also got a tire gauge in there. Keep an ice scraper. This one really sucks, but it gets the job done, and it's better than nothing right now with the weather being the way it is. Next, got a little brush. This is just sweeping out the dust out of the truck. I wouldn't say it's a breakdown item necessarily, but it's better than nothing if you don't have the chance to vacuum. This is a portable air compressor I got for like $60 from AutoZone a couple years ago. You just plug it into the 12 volt and hit the button. It's got a flashlight that's automatically on when it's plugged in to help you in the middle of the night, and you can fill up your tires with it. I use this every time I need to fill up my tires, essentially. But if you're ever broken down with, you're low on air, then it's perfect for that. Always keep jumper cables on hand for like this kind of weather that we're in right now, especially you're going to go outside, it's going to be freezing cold, and your car's not going to want to start because the colder it is outside, the less willing your battery is going to be to cooperate. So, just in case, you might have to ask your neighbor to jump you off or something like that. Always keep them around, or even worse, if you're out in public and your battery just dies for whatever reason, then I always keep an extra bottle of water in here. It doesn't have to be edible necessarily because it's not for you to drink here. This is more or less if it's in the middle of the summer and you don't have any coolant, but your engine's overheating because it's out. This is an alternative you can use then. Definitely don't keep this in here during the wintertime because it'll just freeze. It'll screw your system up. But if you're in the middle of summer, it'll do in a pinch. I do recommend keeping some water on hand that you can drink anytime you need in case you're broken down and just don't have access to any for a while. You don't want to be dehydrated while you're on the side of the road trying to fix a flat tire or anything like that. So I always keep a case. I usually keep like a full case in my truck anyway, just because I like to pull it out and drink on it while I drive. But it's always good to have it. for breakdowns too, so I'll throw this video. This last thing I'm going to show you here isn't necessarily a breakdown item either. This goes more back to the cold weather we're having right now. So this is going on everywhere. You can, this may be more of a redneck hack than anything, but you can put cardboard over your windshield. And yeah, it might get stuck to it because of ice or whatever, but it comes down to if you can peel the cardboard off of your windshield, you don't have to sit there and wait for it to defrost, and you don't have to worry about melting and all that stuff. You just peel it away with the cardboard, and you can toss the cardboard out if you have to. I've got mine held in place with tape, and of course, if you care a lot about your paint job, you don't want to use tape that is super strong or anything like that. This is just like regular, boring packing tape from Office Max, and it's not on there very tight anyway because I want to be able to peel it off very easily in the middle of the night. And so we're more or less going to see how this does in the morning when I go to take off and everything's covered in ice. One of the things, and probably one of the more important things that I forgot to mention, was a spare tire and a jack. You never know when you're going to go over a pothole or something that you weren't expecting, and it's just going to blow your tire out, and you're stuck on the side of the road with nothing to do. Um, Especially when it rains really heavily outside, rain is really, really good at hiding potholes because it'll just fill it up, and you won't be able to tell it from the rest of the road if you're not paying attention very well. Now, these are all things to help save you money anytime you break down, because that way you can at least get yourself rolling again, get yourself back home, and then deal with the fallout later, rather than having to deal with it the second that it comes up. So I hope you found this interesting and entertaining and informative most of all. Stay safe out there and subscribe for more.